Good morning, this is Al with New Reflections Technical Institute, Truck Driving School, and we're about to do a pre-trip from the door to the coupling system. So like I say before in all the other videos, tell them exactly what they need to hear, nothing more, nothing less, and go into depth, okay? Starting with the turn signal. My turn signal is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. It's amber in color, and it works properly. Please let the examiner know that all your lights works properly. If you miss one light, you miss all lights, okay? Mirror bracket is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. The door is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. Free from illegal stickers and holes. My outside latch and my inside latch are both properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, and they both work properly. My door hinges are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, and it supports the weight of the door. My rubber seal on the door and the cab are both properly mounted and secure with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts or dry rot. My steps are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. It's free from debris, and it supports my weight. Now to the side of the cab. Side of the cab is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, free from illegal stickers and obstructions also. My fuel cap is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. It has a rubber sealing chain to the back. So we do the fuel cap up front, but do the fuel tank back here, guys. Some vehicles you can just do everything right there, but on this particular vehicle, we do it from back here. My fuel tank is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, has no visible leaks, and it's held in place with two rubber straps because metal to metal will rub a hole in the fuel tank. My cross member is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My drive shaft is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. And the U-joints at the top and bottom of the drive shaft are also properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, free from debris. My exhaust system is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. There's no sign of an exhaust leak that will indicate black soot. My catwalk steps. My catwalk and catwalk steps. My catwalk is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, free from hanging wires and debris. My catwalk steps are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, and it also supports my weight. My airline are properly mounted and secured to the back of the truck and the trailer. My airline connectors are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware with no audible air leaks. My airlines are properly mounted and secure with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no audible air leaks. My electrical line is properly mounted and secured with no bare wire showing. My glad hands are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware with no audible air leaks. The rubber seal between the glad hands are properly mounted and secure with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, and no audible air leaks. And I also do the bulkhead from here too. My bulkhead is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware and has no bare wire showing. Now, torsion bar is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. My brake airline is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or my brake airline is properly mounted and secured, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no audible air leaks. My ABS line is properly mounted and secured with no bare wire showing. Down to my brake chamber. My brake chamber is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, has a clamp, and has no audible air leaks. My U-bolt is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, held in place with nuts and bolts underneath of it. It's sitting on a saddle that's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. My oil field shopping builder is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. It has no visible leaks. My airbag. My airbag is properly mounted and secured with no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no audible air leaks. My airbag bracket at the top is properly mounted and secure. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. My spring mount is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. My leaf spring is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware, and it's not shifted. Inside this tire, I have brake pads and rotors. So my brake pads are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broke. It's not missing any hardware, and it has at least a quarter of an inch thickness. The rotor is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broke. It's not missing any hardware, and everything is free from grease and debris. My splash guard. My splash guard is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broke. It's not missing any hardware. It's not rubbing the tire or the ground. Tire. My tire on all three sides is properly mounted and secure with no abrasion, boulders, or cuts or audible air leaks. The tread depth is worn evenly. The tread depth on these tires should be no less than 232 seconds of tread depth. So the only tires that should have a different tread depth is your steer tires. Your steer tires should be no less than 432s. The rest of them is 232s, and they can be recapped and rethreaded. These cannot be recapped and rethreaded, okay? So the tire is filled to the proper level, whatever it says on the side. I check that with a tire gauge at the tire stem. My tire stem is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. It has a cap with no audible air leaks. There's no space between my tire and rim that will indicate a flat. The rim is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing hardware. Has no legal holes or wells. My lug nuts are all present. They're properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. A loose lug nut will indicate rust streaks or metal shavings from a cross thread. The outer hub is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, no visible leaks, and filled to the proper level. That's when you tell the examiner, I will inspect this axle like I did that axle, okay? Mud flap. Mud flap is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing your hardware, has the DOT tape. It's also not rubbing the back of the tire or the ground. My rear lights are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware, and they all work properly. Coupling system. So inside here, you're gonna start with your locking jaws. They're properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not missing any hardware. And it's locked around my kingpin that's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. Then we'll come out to the side. Start with your release arm. And you're gonna say my release arm is in a locking position. How I know? Because I just got up underneath and checked it. My fifth wheel mount is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. My slide rail is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. My platform is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. The skid plate is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. And it's properly greased. There's no space between my skid plate and apron. My apron is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware with no legal holes or wells. This is a safety pin or a pivot pin. I like to say safety pin. It's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware. And inside my sliding rail, I have a locking pin that's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or missing any hardware, and it's in a locked position. My fifth wheel airline is properly mounted and secured with no abrasion, boulders, or cuts or audible air leaks. And whenever you do your coupling system, please let the examiner know that you have enough space between your landing gear and the back of your truck for turning purposes. And that is pre-tripping from the door to the coupling system.